Here we are for round 1. We are on the draw and we don't have an early creature, but hopefully we can draw into something to equip and pump. I'm not going to mulligan this. The mana is perfect and our late game looks promising. Now, it would be good to have drawn a 2-drop by turn 3 so that we can equip it with the ring and have a reasonable use for a Johnny, but we'll see about that. And the classic opening of green decks. We do have to lead with the planes here because of the Sunstriker, and that could get pretty ugly. Yeah, this is not a zombie zombie corpse. Walking corpse, that's the right name. So we are going to take some damage. From a turn 2 Scroll Thief on the draw, yeah, well, that happens. And it could mean a very quick end to this game if he continues. Oh well, he doesn't have anything. So we don't either. Our option is to just drop an Ajani without anything to do. So it would get up to 5 counters, and alternatively we could just save passage to prevent him from drawing a card, and it's possible that then he doesn't draw a land to continue playing cards. It's kind of weird that he attacked with the Arbor Elf, because there was a good chance that he draws a 3-drop with a Scroll Thief. I'm not really sure if playing the passage here is correct, but I feel like I might have a chance if he just skips another turn, and I have one more shot at drawing something here, which I didn't, sadly. So I didn't expect my deck to be weak to a Scroll Thief beatdown. And it isn't really weak against it, it's just kind of unfortunate how this game developed. So we have the option of Sarah Angel or Zombie Goliath, and of course if he has a trick we want our Zombie Goliath to die and then play the Trump Sarah Angel later. I think that's a pretty easy decision, given that he doesn't have any flyers in play. Now if he attacks with everything, then we might be in trouble. Getting a planes here maybe for something like pacifism. Benediction not really interesting, but what we can think of is using the flying and double strike option at some point. So if we make the Goliath a 6/5 and give it vigilance, if our opponent doesn't block, he's down to 14, which means that the Ajani is basically lethal with Angelic Benediction next turn. So I think that's the vigilance on the Zombie Goliath is actually more valuable than having Sarah Angel get the +1/+1 counter. We are pretty dead to on some effects, and also Essence Scatter is not what I want to see here, but So far, I don't think we have a choice here. Okay. And there's the pacifism I was kind of expecting. So the combination of the counterspell and the removal was a little bit too much. And he does have multiple essence scatters, it seems like. I'm going to continue playing this, but with him on 5 cards and an active Scroll Thief, it's probably over. What's happening here? 7/7 worm. Yeah, that's an interesting deck. Don't really know what to think of that. Double Essence Scatter, Farseek, Splash, Pacifism, and we lost because of Scroll Thief and not having anything of our own. Now, I feel like Crippling Blight is a good answer in that regard. And of course, yeah, Walking Corpse would have been much better than Zombie Goliath in this game. So it's possible that we don't want to have the late game card. Not because of this particular game, but because we have seen that he has at least 2 Essence Scatters. So that's quite a lot of cards to mess with our late game drops. I kind of like to board in Duress against opponents with Essence Scatter, because you can usually read if they have it, and then Duress takes away their response, which they had to keep open mana for. So it's possible that we could get away with playing 16 lands here, and for example dropping the safe passage. But well, I think dropping the safe passage is just better. And I'm going to add one more swamp because I added 2 black spells. This swamp looks different from the others, so that we know if it made a difference. No, wait, now I'm at 41 cards. I feel like Duress should be good, and it seems like we want to be on the offensive against him. So let's take out the Guardians. Of course, I'm still kind of weak against an early Scroll Thief, but that was an extreme example in the last game. And the Tormented Soul doesn't really work with the ring, but otherwise this is a fine hand. Of course, now we want our Dark Favors to pump up the soul. It's not that impressive on its own. So this means we should duress here to see if he has a solution, and he does. So by taking the pacifism out of his hand, he's left with only a Titanic Growth, which we can play around, and a very expensive Duskdale Worm. That was a very good duress. I don't think he drew an Essence Scatter here. It's just very likely that he couldn't cast anything in his hand. And he's seen enough. Yeah, I mean, he's taking at least 6 next turn. And except for the splash pacifism, blue-green doesn't necessarily have that much removal spells. Maybe Prey Pawns, but that's usually about it. So I think we can make good use of the duress. The Crippling Blight is only so-so, but we don't have that many playbills to choose from. I think we can manage to win one more game with this deck. And if it has to be won by suiting up Tormented Soul, that's what I'm going to do. This is a very interesting turn where usually you would drop Knight of Glory to get Exalted going and to have two different attackers. But I think with him having the mana to Essence Scatter and us having the plan of suiting this up anyway, we just deal more damage by going for the Dark Favor. He did have both the Plains and the Pacifism, which isn't really given considering that he's only splashing these cards. Now, Knight of Glory would allow us to attack past the Scroll Thief, but I feel like getting the ring here out here is actually the better play. I'm going to use this free attack to bluff something like Crippling Blight. Yeah, that didn't work, but I wasn't really losing anything. I will gladly trade my soldier token for the card he would draw. And once again he has the mana to Essence Scatter something, and it might even be the best play to not give him anything to Essence Scatter, but I feel like we can play this Attendant Knight into an Essence Scatter with the way our hand is shaping up. We are going to deal quite a lot of damage. We have the Vigilance, and we need the Battleflight Eagle for later. Hopefully he doesn't have another Pacifism. That would have been backbreaking. But from what he had shown so far, there wasn't a big danger of that. Now, the 4/4 Attendant Knight is... It's possible for him to block the 4/4 Attendant Knight with Force Mage and Cursor. So I would need to use the Exalted trigger to get it through. I think that's a good way to utilize the Battleflight Eagle here. If the Attendant Knight couldn't be double blocked, I could also just use the Eagle on Knight of Glory instead. But this way he's down to 5. Attendant Knight is only a 4/4, and I really want it to become a 5/5 next turn, which is more important than making the Eagle larger, I feel. So I'm going to keep it like this. If he doesn't have a flying defense, then the Eagle is going to beat him in 2 attacks anyway. And Benediction, not that important currently, I think. It's possible that he has the Titanic Growth here. No, he's just jump blocking. So he goes down to 3. We equip the Eagle. And I don't see a reason not to run out the Benediction as well. And that's it. See you next round.